Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a stunning but relatively under-the-radar mountain range in Montana. Let me show you where we are.
These are the Pryor Mountains, and unlike most Montana mountain ranges, we are not really in western Montana. Let me show you on the map where we are. So this is Montana. Most of Montana's great mountain ranges are over here, on this side of the state. But we are down here. We are just south of Billings, the largest city. I don't know why this isn't focusing. We are just south of Billings, Montana, and we are just a little bit north of the Montana-Wyoming state line. In fact, I camped last night down here in northern Wyoming. This is apparently the driest major mountain range in Montana, which makes sense if you've been to Billings on the north, or if you've been to kind of the Lovell, Powell area to the south in Wyoming. It's desert around here, and then you get up into the mountains, you get higher up into the mountains, and you get stuff like that. You get some pretty nice forests. This is my second time in these very interesting mountains. I was here a few years ago. I'll put a link to that video down below. In that video, I drove up to the highest parts of these mountains and climbed some mountains and visited some interesting Native American sites, some interesting natural sites. Really fascinating mountain range. But today, we are hiking out to this plateau. This flat area out here is our goal. I think it's a couple mile hike to get out there. So I've been hiking for about 45 minutes now. I've covered about 2 miles. Easy hiking, just following this old road. You're not allowed to drive on this, but you can hike on it. This place is called Demijohn Flat. And there's one thing in particular that this spot is known for that I've been trying to find. And I've been keeping my eyes peeled as I've been hiking, but it wasn't until here that I've been able to find it. Let me show you. Can you guys see this stone circle right here? This is a teepee ring. So this is a spot where Native Americans would have set up their teepee, and then they use rocks to keep down the edges, the hide edges of the tent of the teepee. And so this place, Demijohn Flat, is home to apparently some 230 teepee rings, which means this would have been basically a giant campsite home to thousands of people. Isn't that incredible? And so this is the first one that I came across. Again, you can see the ring. I'm standing in the middle of it right now. Just this ring of rocks all around the outside. So this is the first one that I saw, but there's another one over here somewhere. Can you make out this one right here? And then if I turn around, there's another one right here. That is so incredible. This would have been like a Native American city up here. There is a lot of Native American history in these mountains, in the Pryor Mountains. And again, I go over a lot of that in the previous video. So again, I encourage you to check that out if you're interested. But also, a good portion of the kind of eastern and northeastern side of this mountain range is still part of the Crow Reservation today. So I'm going to spend some time wandering around out here. Like I said, there are 230 something documented teepee rings. So there's a vast area that these cover. I'm gonna wander around, gonna fly the drone a little bit. I'll show you guys if I find anything interesting. Apparently archaeologists have been out here and haven't found a ton of artifacts. And they think that could be because this really was just a temporary camp for hunting or for, powwows or, no one really knows. Or because this place is so accessible, souvenir hunters, artifact hunters have just kind of picked clean the surface out here. But we'll wander around. If I see anything interesting, I'll point it out to you guys. Alrighty, it's been, I don't know, an hour. I've just been wandering around this plateau area, making my way toward the end of it where it kind of splits into these little peninsulas and then it drops down into some canyons on the sides. And I read online that there are some large cairns up here somewhere, like piles of rocks that date back to Native American times that marked the spaces or the spots where you could descend easily down into the canyons. I haven't found anything like that. There's a little pile of rocks there with some old timber. There's a little pile of rocks here with a similar sort of thing. Like, I don't know what these would have been for, but I don't think they're that old. Man, beautiful area though. What a cool place. I haven't really found anything else super interesting. That initial spot where I first found those rings and then I expanded out and found the dozens of other rings, that's really the only spot I've found that had those. I thought there were more down here also, but I haven't found any since then. The website I used to find those teepee rings is called pryormountains.org. And it's a fantastic website run by someone who knows these mountains very well. It covers hikes, history, archaeology, and I was just looking at that page again, and it said that the part written by an archaeologist said that they have excavated some teepee rings in these mountains that were hidden, that were underground, and they found, you know, a hearth, like a fireplace. They found artifacts there, but they, again, haven't found many up here where the teepee rings are a little bit more exposed. And again, that probably points in the direction that people have just picked clean those teepee rings, but also those areas were probably just used as temporary campsites. Like they weren't permanent settlements or anything like that. Like apparently the archaeologists have said that the floors of those teepee rings weren't super hard packed, again indicating relatively short durations of stays there. Here's a look in the direction we came from. We parked like way over here somewhere. I've hiked about 3 3.75 miles and got some beautiful mountain views, beautiful red earth in this little canyon over here, this little drainage. And then over here, I wanted to show you these mountains that look a little bit dark and gloomy and imposing right now. Those are the Bighorn Mountains. Those go up to about 13,200 feet, which is 1.5 times the height of the Pryor Mountains over here. I was actually in these mountains yesterday and just got rained on, got snowed on. It was pretty unpleasant. They're beautiful mountains, definitely worth visiting. In fact, we might spend the night in those mountains, or maybe at least in the foothills of those mountains tonight, because if the weather is good, which we'll see, I want to go into those mountains tomorrow. So ultimately, we're going to end up over there. For now, I'm going to hike back more or less the way I came, see if I can find any more teepee rings along the way. I thought this was so cool. I've never seen anything like this before. I've seen holes for Native American pit houses, but I've never seen dozens and dozens, hundreds even, of teepee rings. It blows my mind that, that this is here. So I'm gonna hike back to the car, and then we're gonna drive kind of around the mountains over in that direction, and we're gonna gear up for a second adventure later on in the day. So I'll meet back up with you guys somewhere over there. What the heck was that? That was one of the coolest little drives I can remember doing in the last handful of years. That was so much fun. And I didn't know the road was like that. I didn't know the road was spectacular. Basically, I looked at the map and looked to see if there was a road that got me a little bit closer to where I'm gonna hike to next. And this road does. And so that saved me like, I don't know, a couple miles of hiking or something like that, 1.5 miles of hiking. What a road, though. And I am pleased to say this thing, the Harbor Freight hitch basket thing, performed flawlessly. I don't think it bottomed out at all. It may have once or twice, but it's in great shape. Super solid. That's a great product for 50 or 60 bucks. I love this thing. Anyway, this is where we are. We left the mountains, we drove back into Wyoming, and then the start of this road, which is called the Sykes Ridge Road, the start of that was in Wyoming, and then we crossed into Montana somewhere along the way. And we're gonna be hiking somewhere in this direction, I think. Before we hit the trail, I need to repack my camera gear. And the amazing thing about this road, it goes all the way to the top of the Pryor Mountains. To the top of the 8,800 foot high peaks. This goes for several more miles all the way to the top of the entire mountain range, starting basically at the bottom of the mountain range. We're not going to do the whole thing today, but I'm definitely going to come back. This would be so much fun on my motorcycle, on my little dual sport. That's what I was thinking the whole time. The road is definitely a high clearance road. There's no way I would have taken my RAV4 on that road, and something like a Subaru, I don't know, people who are Subaru owners love to say how much ground clearance their Subarus have and everything like that, but I probably wouldn't take a Subaru on it, but I've never owned one, so your mileage may vary. And as I was driving up here, like if you had just dropped me off and asked me, where are you? I would have bet money, like a good amount of money, that I was in southern Utah. That felt so much like, especially the area around Escalante, just incredible. What a place, what a road, what beautiful scenery. And to make this feel even more like southern Utah, we're actually hiking to a natural arch. I don't know how big or how impressive this arch is. I don't think I saw any stats for it. I saw some pictures, but there was no sense of scale. It might be like 3 feet across, it might be 20 or 30. I don't know, but we're gonna find out here. And I just looked at the map. We've gone about 1/5 of the way up to the top of the Pryor Mountains. That whole great drive, which took me at least half an hour, that was only 1/5 of the way up the entire mountain. That is so cool. I'm gonna be following this road for part of the way. I think at some point we hit a trail, but I'm not entirely sure. And the road now curves to the right and keeps going off in that direction, but we're gonna go this way. I think the arch is somewhere over here. I'm trying to see if I can see it somewhere out there. I don't think so. I do see a pretty cool cave over there. That's neat. And a rock pillar, little pinnacle right there. That's neat, but I don't know where the arch is. This is interesting. Check this out. I believe this is a rainwater catchment system that then gets funneled into this cistern thing, and then there's a place for animals to drink. That's nice. Guzzler? Is that what these are called? Guzzlers? Huh. And I like how you can see all kinds of scratches on here from various animals. Well, I've been hiking for about 45 minutes. I'm in the vicinity of the arch. I think it's only like a few hundred feet away from me according to my phone, but I don't know where it is. I don't see it yet. There are, however, a couple of pretty neat looking caves that might warrant further exploration. One right there. Another one right there. Cool area, tons of caves. I think I see it. This is my first glimpse of it. Right there, looks fairly archy. Here's a better view, and wow, that is actually a proper arch. Wow, I mean that's definitely bigger than a few feet across. Welcome to the top of Sykes Arch. I was able to scramble up to the top here without too much difficulty. Really spectacular place up here, definitely worth the hike. This is the top of the arch. It's maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 feet across here, and then we'll look down over the edge. And this is all limestone. This is not sandstone. The southern Utah arches, those are all sandstone. This is not. Here's looking down the other side. And I mentioned the caves before, but look at this. A couple of caves there. Right there. Cave right there. Cave over here. Tons of them. That's just on the other side of the canyon. I think there are caves on this side too. Beautiful view, beautiful day, sort of. It's raining over here. I'm a little bit concerned about the rain. I'm a little bit concerned about the drive out in general, retracing my steps on that Sykes Ridge road, because some sections of that road are pretty darn narrow, and if you meet a car or even a side-by-side, even an ATV, even a motorcycle coming in the other direction, like there's gonna be some work to figure out how to get past that. So let's hope that does not happen. But let's go back down to underneath the arch. So that's what, 25 feet high, 20 feet high, and 20 feet across? Again, I had pretty low expectations. I thought it would be like this big of an opening, and so I am very pleasantly surprised. And I think we're gonna get out of here now. It's 3:30. It's gonna take me a while to get back out of here, to get back to the car, and then to drive back out to the main road. And then I'm kind of out of food, so I need to go get some food or go to a restaurant or something, and the towns aren't especially close by, so we're gonna wrap up this portion of the video. I don't think we are gonna go to any caves, because again, the day is getting on, and it doesn't stay light super late this time of year. But I am gonna come back here, and I'm gonna name the video something like, I don't know, Exploring Montana's Valley of Caves or something like that, because there's gotta be something interesting in these caves, like Native American rock art or artifacts, or like some cowboy or rancher scrawls, or like pioneer inscriptions, or dead animals or something. You know, there's got to be something interesting in one of the billion caves over here. So we're going to save that for a future adventure, I think, and enjoy this little spot. Enjoy our time here while we still can, while we still have it, and then I think we'll wrap up the video at tonight's campsite. It looks like we made it to camp just in time. The sun is just about to set behind the mountains over there. And that light is lighting up the mountains behind me. These are the Bighorn Mountains. These are the mountains that go up to about 13,000 feet. Just incredible. What a landscape. The plan is to drive up into those mountains first thing in the morning, but I thought it would be better to camp down here rather than up there. We're like 4,500 feet lower than where we're gonna be tomorrow, and so it'll be much warmer down here. It'll definitely get below freezing tonight up there. Here it should stay above freezing. One of the reasons I don't film very much inside the car is that this lens isn't very wide. Of course I have GoPros and I have my phone camera, but those cameras just aren't very good. They're not nearly as good as this main camera, so at some point I should probably invest in a wider lens to make these inside the car shots more of a regular feature on the channel. But the truth is, it's just the space where I sleep and where I store gear. I sleep on top of the platform, I store my gear under the platform. Not a whole lot else that's interesting goes on in here, but I like it. I love how the Land Cruiser has just these huge windows, so I can see the setting sun over there. I can see that orangish pink light light up the mountains over on that side. It's so cool. In fact, I want to show you that view again. There's that setting sun with the beautiful sky. And then here are the beautiful mountains. Isn't that great? Life is good. And I had a great time today. It was so fun seeing those teepee rings earlier in the day. I really got a kick out of that. That is so neat. Apparently there were hundreds up there. I saw maybe a few dozen. So I'd be interested in figuring out where the rest of those got to. And then the hike up to the arch, that was so fun. But the drive is really what surprised me. Like, I had planned today, like the plan for today for this video was to go to the teepee rings and the arch and to do some other stuff. But that drive, that road, what was it called? Sykes Ridge Road. That was unbelievable. I really need to come back and do that whole thing. That would be a wild adventure. By the way, on the drive back down, I did run into one other car. There was a Jeep on the road, but it was at a spot where the Jeep was able to pull off to the side, and I was able to keep going, so crisis averted. But yeah, great day, beautiful area, beautiful part of the country. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your favorite part was. Let me know what your experiences have been like in this beautiful part of Montana and Wyoming. Oh, by the way, I am in Wyoming right now. The Bighorn Mountains are almost entirely in Wyoming, so that's where we're going to be tonight and tomorrow. But thanks again for watching, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you in the next one. Be sure to check out Adventure Know-How, my new site, where you can gain access to a map of all of my free campsites, plus monthly bonus videos that you won't find anywhere else. Learn more at adventureknowhow.com. And for links to everything else SUV RVing related, visit suvrving.com. Links to these sites and more will be in the video description.